Good afternoon. I am here with Alex. I'll give you a little backstory of how I met Alex. He is the one, and we'll probably talk about it, that we posted about a month or so ago about the Dorito in a jar. So I reached out to Alex, not knowing anything about him, not knowing who he was or anything, just wanted to chat, and actually rather interesting.
Yeah, appreciate it, Marcus. Thanks for having me.
Yeah.
So, my name is Alex. I've been in marketing and design the latter years, digital marketing, for a total combined of about 20 years. Recently, I wanted to test out this Facebook marketplace concept. I heard about it. I had been involved in e-commerce for a while, was excited about selling items, products, and I've sold services in the past that I thought would help solve a problem that I thought was exciting and that I really believed in and that might help put a smile on someone's face or make their day a little bit better. Some of the items I thought were cheesy. Some of the items I really liked. One day I was like, you know what? Let me post a Dorito in a jar. The concept of putting food in a jar is not new. I think what is refreshing is how I presented it. And I hope to share a couple takeaways that I think would undergird all of our Facebook marketing journey if you're focusing on that, or if you are doing your own online store via Shopify, or maybe even your own website or shopping cart. From there, we'll see where it goes and just have fun with it.
So how did you think of Dorito in a jar? I know you said we've seen food in a jar before, but what kind of sparked that?
I seen somebody come up with the idea, an iteration of it, and I thought, wouldn't it be cool to put it up on Facebook Marketplace? And there were three things I wanted to accomplish. One was understand the Facebook Marketplace technology, the chatting, putting in your financial information, the mechanics of posting, how that worked. And the second thing was I just wanted to connect with people, put a smile on someone's face. I truly believe and have seen in my years as a professional that when you love on people and feel a need for them and give more than you receive, it makes for a better relationship, better society, and better commerce. And then the third thing was hopefully make a few dollars. So I said, let me start with testing out this platform with this kooky idea based upon my inner beliefs about people and relationships. Because real quick, at the end of the day, I really believe digital marketing is about relationships. I think they're synonymous. So I said, okay, let me take this idea that I seen out there and let me flip it and make it better. And that's one of my specialties, just taking ideas and making them better. And maybe that's one of the reasons why I do well in digital marketing in general. I took it, I flipped it, improved it, made it better. You think that I would have an immediate response. Well, guess what, Marcus? Nobody responded right away. And I'm like, all right, I'm probably striking out. But one of the things I learned in life was just hang on.
Yeah.
And just wait and be patient. Let the algorithm do what it's going to do. Heck, I think a lot of us can agree that we don't really understand the Facebook Marketplace algorithm. So I said, let me keep an open mind and an open heart, because if I have a closed, fixed mindset about this, it's sort of like the time I put into it would be wasted. Lo and behold, Marcus, it was like a fire hydrant. 24 hours a day. People are laughing and they're smiling and they're sending me photos and videos, and they're like, where'd you come up with this? And this is awesome. And thank you. I needed it. I had a fight with my partner. And when I seen this, it was like, I felt better. One person was like, I woke up, had my morning coffee, and this was like the first thing in my feed. And I loved it. I had professionals in the marketing industry hit me up. I've had people in radio hit me up, people from all around the country. I mean, dude, easily over 1 million views, hundreds and thousands of shares and emojis. It went bonkers.
Just on the which I know it expands past just the marketplace listing, right? I pulled stats from just the listing, and over 5,000 saved by over 5,000 shoppers. I don't know, I've seen that high before. 50 reviews on just that item. The reviews were great. How long did it take for it to kind of ramp up and take off?
2 to 4 weeks. It took a while for people to just say something, because at first it just looks like a gimmick, truth be told. And the cool thing is you really find out what kind of wonderful people are out there when they just take a chance. Sometimes the most coolest experiences happen when you take a chance. And quite the opposite. I've had people say really toxic things to me. I'm on drugs. I'm mentally disturbed. A through Z. You should die. You're sick. I mean, toxic stuff. But I can tell you overwhelmingly about 98% has been overwhelmingly positive. And I hear things like, thank you. this was awesome. But it took a while. So somewhere between 2 and 4 weeks, people started commenting and talking, and I started getting a feel and a flow and a rhythm for the kinds of questions they would ask. What was the collective thought that they were thinking when they seen this? Questions like, is it real? Does it come separate? Do you have Cool Ranch flavor? I mean, it was like amazing. And then around that 4 week mark, I got a sale, and I almost cried. I don't know about any of the audience, but for me, when you put your heart into something, sometimes you take it to heart. And so what happens positively or not positively can affect you and move you. Well, I was already moved by the positive response, regardless of a sale. But when a sale came in, I never thought to myself, oh, people are stupid. They'll just buy anything. No, I thought
Yeah.
to myself, they got it, because I wasn't trying to be gimmicky. I was trying to love on people and fill a very niche need, which was to help people smile and laugh together easier. Let me give you context right quick. This is during COVID. COVID was still happening. I believe this would have worked irregardless of COVID,
Yeah.
because everyone needs a good laugh every now and again. At the 4 week mark, it started going up and down like all of our Facebook market journeys. There's no business that doesn't have highs and lows. And in this case, even though it's a kooky, we'll call it a widget, quote unquote, for today's conversation,
Yeah. Yeah.
it's not a need, it's a want, it's something fun. It's, if anything, a gag gift for any occasion. But in my humble opinion, I really think is a need for relationship, connection, laughing and smiling together. I had one dad and one son actually send me a video of them opening it up. So the dad is a blue collar guy, has a small business. He's in his truck. And I'm just giving you the context so you can imagine what I was seeing.
Yeah.
And the son is outside, and the driver passenger window is open. And they just have the camera on the dashboard. And I'm over their shoulders just listening to father and son talk. And the dad cracks it open because the son bought it for the dad. He's like, what is this, son? And it's like triple wrapped. I did a great job. He's laughing. They read the note I sent with it. They're having a blast. And they're like, we're going to buy another one. I said, they got it.
The negative stories are the ones that stick on our sides. And you can't ignore them because you often have to deal with it. But it's those positive ones that really stick and last with us for a long time. What are the two biggest takeaways that you got?
I'll give you the one philosophical takeaway. Digital marketing equals relationship building. Regardless of technology or not, there's something interesting about connecting with people in the sense of negotiating and your social
Yeah.
interaction.
Yeah.
But when you're at the place of commerce in the marketplace, there's something about that, because not everybody's selling something used. People are also selling new items that they've curated, created themselves. There's a variety. So philosophically speaking, right, at a macro level, the universal truth that I humbly believe, it's all about relationships, and digital marketing is no different. Now, irregardless of me spending decades in that industry at different levels, because I started off in college with graphic design and I come from an artistic family, that shouldn't deter people. What undergirded the recipe of success that materialized to the stats that you read earlier was my belief that it's about relationships. So that's the macro big picture. Without that, I'm just following a bunch of tactics with head knowledge without heart knowledge. So everything that I did with this item is stuff that I believe and actually do in real life. I just figured out a way to translate it into digital form to shove it in this piece of technology. If I had to take away one technical piece, what stands out in my mind is, wow, I really like Facebook Marketplace. It's the wild, wild west of platforms. It's $0 to advertise. It's pretty feature rich. And I was able to take a payment, deliver the product, and receive my payout in a timely manner. Dang, I like this, because for $25, $35 a month, I was on Shopify and I'd had to make double that just to take money home in the
Yeah.
form of profit to put in my pocket after expenses. Well, in Facebook Marketplace, I made money. Oh, and by the way, I made money selling a chip in a jar. And I was like, Alex, stop that. You're thinking surface. Why did you do? What's your why? Well, I wanted to love on people. So people paid me to love on them. How did I love on them? For a fraction of a second, they smiled. They weren't thinking about COVID. They weren't thinking about, oh my gosh, I have to go to work. It's a Monday. I'm really tired. I want to stay in. They weren't thinking about, I just had a disagreement with my loved one. Philosophically, how do I duplicate this with Facebook Marketplace, even though the system has its quirks?
Early summer, Zuckerberg and his commerce team did a webinar. There was about 3,000 or 4,000 people on the webinar. It's not available anymore. You can't, at least I haven't been able to find it. And they talked a lot about what they're doing with their e-com line of business. Everything that was discussed, often with Facebook, right? If you read Facebook or if you read any of the news release, you have to read through the lines. They don't come out and say, we're doing X, Y, and Z. But it was pretty easy to read through the lines that it's going to be, it is now, and it's going to be even more so based on social interaction. Everyone, you can go to eBay. Yes, you can contact the seller. You can write the seller an email. Maybe 1 or 2 days later, you get a reply. Same thing on Amazon. I'm not familiar with Mercari and Poshmark, all those. Definitely for eBay and Amazon, it is a very much big box. Go in, find your product, buy it, and they're very good at it. The way Facebook is, the way they talked about it, that they're separating themselves from that is the social interaction part.
Yeah.
They're going to start incorporating VR more. They talked about that at their keynote for the big brands, being able to have VR and basically be like you're in a shop with a shop assistant there. It's the social interaction that we all got used to that was quickly taken away during COVID. And now we're trying to get, and they are perfectly lined up because they're a social media platform. So it's interesting that you say that's how well it worked, because you focused on that social interaction part, which, I mean, we all know every time you get a message, it boosts your algorithm up a little bit. You reply to it and not let it sit for 2 days. That boosts it. All those little things, responding to comments, good, bad, or indifferent, that boosts it because so there's the technical aspect that is rooted in that social interaction.
When you take any course on e-commerce or drop shipping, whether it's wholesale or retail drop shipping, one of the fundamental things is your customer service and customer excellence. And a lot of folks who get on a platform at first, there's that learning curve and barrier. And for Facebook Marketplace, it's a little rough. Let's admit that for right now, but it's getting better. That pushback tests your character as a professional. We're adults, we're interacting with the public. And so there's these unwritten rules of putting yourself out there publicly. And one of the things that I liked and that you learn from courses is product research. One of the better ways to validate your product is through interacting with people. All throughout the night, Marcus, for months, I would hear a bing and I would be up in the middle of the night texting and chatting. And some of the tactical things, I'll give a tip away that I think it's cool. Maybe some of you out there have done it, is I create a document with typical questions with typical answers. And the answers are not just yes and no answers. These answers are branded answers to the style and the flow and the persona of my product.
Mm-hmm.
Now, some of these words may be a little marketing speak, but in essence, I'm just being true to my brand. What's the brand? This funky, kooky idea, selling a chip in a jar, because it's not the chip to eat, it's the idea of fun. Yeah. So I created this whole world and language and feel. So even my answers met that. People try to play me, I would play them back. You hit me at a level 2, I hit you at a level 2.5. And some of the people that wished me harm, I won them over, and some of them even purchased. Look at that. And so that was a tactical thing I did. I got feedback quickly because it just blew up, man. And then I learned what to say and what not to say. Even about 30% of my sales came from pre-sales interaction of excellence. Meaning, you try to crap on me, I'm going to take the high road and I'm going to play you, quote unquote, play you. I'm going to get you back with this fun, cool, I'm not going to take myself too seriously attitude. And people were buying it. They were apologizing to me, saying sorry. They were wishing me harm in the beginning. And then they're like, oh my God, good luck. I'm going to share it. You know how many times people were like, I'm going to share it. And then they would send screenshots like, look, I shared it. Like they wanted me to validate them because I passed their BS test, because they wanted to test me because it looks pretty out there.
Yeah.
So that was a huge thing. I was unexpected, but that I had to shoot from the hip, Marcus, and just flow with it because the underlining why fueled me and informed the direction on how I was going to take this little, $10 plus $5 shipping quote unquote widget and see what it would do on this marketplace. It's the undergirding of relationship. When you do that, you'll approach the time that you set aside from family, work, and self to work on this. It'll be smoother. You'll be stressed less. Your perception of success and what that means for you will increase. I haven't made a lot of money on this. In fact, there's been a lot of gaps where I haven't, but it doesn't matter. The first sale literally brought a tear to my eye. In fact, they sent a photo and a thank you letter, and they said, if you want to use our testimony, great. 2 radio stations hit me up. I went on air. Well, my product went on air, and I have a soft commitment for an interview. I mean, come on. What professional in their Facebook marketing journey wouldn't want an opportunity for that? Part of it is choose your products wisely. Not every product's going to do that. Some may consider this a listing item an outlier. Perhaps that's debatable, but maybe it's a loss leader. It grabs attention and causes people to look at the rest of my catalog. I mean, there's many different ways to look at this.
I was listening to another very respected YouTube channel was talking about loss leaders. So you might not necessarily put an item up as a loss leader with the intention of being a loss leader, but you might have an item that ends up being a loss leader. You mentioned this in the very, very beginning about how you're personally tied. You put so much time, work, and effort into this that it's personal. When we get this conversation going quite a bit in our group. I have a $50 item. Somebody offered me $25 for it. How insulting is that? And I get that. Your visceral response is, no, I'm going to go to arms over this because it's worth 30, but I got to sell it for 50 to make money. But if you step back and detach yourself from it, because it's if we're treating this as business, we're not selling grandma's vintage thing to a family member, right? This is business, right? If whether you're selling, whatever level you might be at, detaching from the outcome, seeing an opportunity, that's a loss leader, right? Okay, I got an item, it's bunk, nobody's buying it. Maybe I can use that to my advantage and sell it a little bit at a loss or a break even. And all that does is boost your algorithm. You feel better because you got sales coming in. I wish I could remember this guy's, nobody comes onto a group or comes into a group saying, I have too many sales and I'm not making any money. It's something else. That very well could be the case if your margins are so low. But if you choose to sell something even at a loss, you're going to feel better. You have a sale coming in, right? That makes you feel good. And it boosts the algorithm on the back. We all probably have loss leaders listed in our marketplace.
Sure.
We just don't
100%.
know it yet. And we're tied to it because we spent an hour researching.
Let me share this before you move on.
Sure.
My emotional expression from the first sale was tied to my belief in the universal truth of relationships. It was not tied to the normal day-to-day routines of doing business. I learned early on from a life mentor who just took me under their wing and taught me that although people make emotional decisions, and although as a human being you have emotions tied to you, you can practice and discipline yourself not to put expectations on people, even if there's finances that's mixed into the relationship. And so I practiced that in my early 20s. Whenever people would say horrible things to me with this particular product, the premium Dorito in a jar, I could sense the human side of me wanting to activate, but I had enough maturity to not count it against them. I knew that they don't understand the depth that motivated me to publish this item. I didn't put any expectation on what I wanted as a response. I had a desire of what I wanted, but I didn't put an expectation because I didn't want to feel disappointed. Because that's usually, that's usually the exact response that you get when your determination of this is what I want to happen doesn't get met. So I knew if I start doing that with a platform that I'm not used to, I'm going to get so discouraged and so jaded that I'm going to become biased towards every negative person quote unquote negative that I perceive to be that's against me. I've had thoughts that I've had to erase from my mind, like, man, all these customers are stupid. Facebook is whack, man. Their stuff doesn't work. Man, Facebook is ripping off people, et cetera, et cetera. And I would respectfully put that kind of talk, although it's okay to experience it because we're human, it's not beneficial to retain it for very long. I believe that that's what could be categorized as a fixed mindset. With this product, I had a growth mindset because I never sold something like that on Facebook Marketplace. And side note, my little niche was home furnishings. This Dorito in a jar was something just to spice up so that I can practice being in my industry and being a creative person. And you don't have to be in arts like I am, but everybody has a creative bone. I wanted to express myself and see what would happen. Just so happens that I touched a nerve that I think subliminally, we sort of get it on a gut level. And I was able to use some tactics and some persona and some wordings and phraseology and how I did the titles to express my deep desire for people and relationships. And also, I want to make money, right? I'm there to do business. And it all came together because I didn't have expectations on people or the product, even though I was like, man, crossing my fingers, like, man, I hope this sucker works. And it did.
You started to talk about people, process, and product, the 3 Ps. How did you tie that into your expectations? Because I see process and product and people tying into your expectation at the end. But I'm curious to see how you tie those together and what your thoughts are on that.
My first understanding of people, products, and processes came from a TV show where a successful businessman would go and help businesses around the country improve. He would go in and sort of coach them.
Great show.
And so, yeah, I forget the name of it, but it's similar.
The Prophet?
I think that might be it.
Yeah.
Is a short white gentleman, really tough love kind of guy, but gentle. One of the major pieces that he shared that was a light bulb in my head was people, processes, and products. And he was talking to a family that he was helping and he explained it. I was very moved by that because one of the things he said is people really stood out to me because I believe relationships are the most important concept in our existence. How you apply it is determined by just trial and error and people observing and documenting it and practicing it. And there's different levels and areas that you could apply these concepts. And a good portion of it is from the gut, meaning you feel a sense of, I think I should do this or do that. And so for me, tying it to Facebook Marketplace, I knew that there's going to be limitations on the software. There's only so much communication I can do because I'm one of several boxes on a screen if you're on a desktop or a feed. So I had to have an immediate impact, but still stay true to my belief. And I believe in the universal truth of relationships. It makes the world go round. I started off with people. I debate whether I do process or products next, but it doesn't really matter. E-commerce courses will teach you to do your product research and to test it. That's a common sense thing. And there's many tactics to try that. For me, when it comes to products and services, they don't sell themselves. People sell them. And in the vehicle of relationship will determine whether somebody will buy 1, 2, or a bunch of your products. Side note, had a lady said to me about six days ago now, Marcus, she said, hey, I hope if I buy these, it doesn't come broken, because it's a delicate item, right?
Yeah.
I heard a lot about it, and so I'm buying 2 of them. I don't know where this lady heard from, whether somebody called her and said, oh my God, Alex's thing, you got to check it out, is whatever. But she claimed that she heard it from somebody and she bought 2 of them. And she said, it better not come broken. To which I had a reply. Don't worry about it. I triple wrap it and I gave her the cool, quick response. See, so it's process.
That's
efficient processes, yeah. Right? Great customer service. Why? Because I'm excellent. Excellent means I'm going to be the best Alex I can be at that moment to fulfill my best and highest potential selling this thing without trying to gyp her and take advantage of her. Because I'm not trying to sell her snake oil. I'm selling her an experience. That's the product. It's the experience. So guess what? Dorito in the jar can't be separated from Alex. I am the Dorito in the jar. The Dorito in the jar is me. And it's not just a Dorito in the jar. It's a premium Dorito in the jar.